Welcome back. Today, we're cutting through the noise and zooming in on Colombia.
Hmm.
It seemed, as the undisputed pioneer of regulated online gambling in Latin America, it's held up globally as this gold standard for clarity and stability.
It is. But there's a massive paradox right at its core.
Exactly. And that's what we need to get into.
We're really analyzing the tension that defines the country. I mean,
Mm.
on one hand, it's perfectly regulated, it's transparent, it's focused on player safety, but on the other,
On the other, it seems almost financially engineered to kill any operator that isn't already a global giant.
that's the perfect way to put it.
So we're here to figure out, is this market actually worth that staggering price tag? Our mission is to take the regulations, the tax codes, all the player data, and give you the actionable insight you need to understand the real cost-benefit calculation here.
And that's what we do. We're the Gambling Databases research team, and we're dedicated to delivering these in-depth, data-driven analyses of the global iGaming landscape.
Right.
In each report, we dissect local regulations, taxation, player experience, operator conditions, all of it. And Colombia is just a must-study market because it sets the bar so high.
Okay, so let's start with why everyone is looking at this market in the first place. Lay the foundation for us. What are the attractive headline numbers that draw the big names in?
The foundation is absolutely solid. You're looking at a population of 51 million people.
Wow.
And this is a critical detail. 80% of them live in urban areas.
Okay, so a concentrated consumer base.
Exactly. Concentrated connectivity, internet penetration is strong at 72%,
Mm.
and mobile is even higher. It's hitting about 85%.
So a massive, centralized, and very digital footprint. What does that actually translate to in dollars?
Well, the regulated iGaming market was estimated at about 150 million US dollars for 2024.
Okay.
And the forecast, the compound annual growth rate, the projected yearly growth, is really robust. We're projecting 12% CAGR right through 2029.
So on paper, for any global operator, that looks like a slam dunk, an excellent long-term, predictable target.
It really does.
Okay, let's unpack why the regulatory framework is considered the gold standard. That stability is all provided by Coljuegos, the Colombian gaming regulatory body. What is their key strength? What sets them apart?
It's transparency and breadth. The foundational stability comes from the fact that they have full legality for a really comprehensive product suite.
What do you mean by that?
Well, unlike many of their neighbors, who often just regulate sports betting and leave everything else kind of ambiguous.
Right, the gray market stuff.
Exactly. Colombia gives the official green light to online casino games, sports betting, poker, and lotteries. That broad legality offers a full spectrum opportunity and just removes all the gray areas that plague other emerging markets.
But getting that license is notoriously rigorous, isn't it? Tell me about the standards they enforce, because it seems like integrity is their #1 focus.
It is absolutely designed for integrity. First off, licenses aren't forever. They're valid for 5 years and then require renewal.
So constant scrutiny.
Constant scrutiny, constant compliance investment. And critically, there are mandatory requirements for technical platform certification. That means verified random number generator, or RNG, audits by accredited international labs.
To ensure fair play.
If you can't prove the technical fairness of your backend, you just aren't playing in Colombia, period.
And what about protecting the players? They sound incredibly focused on responsible gaming.
They are arguably the leader in the region on this front. I mean, beyond the obvious mandatory age verification, minimum 18, they mandate extremely robust responsible gambling tools.
Like what?
Operators have to implement self-exclusion programs, and the player has to be able to configure their own deposit and loss limits.
Oh, that's huge.
It is. And they also enforce session time limits paired with reality checks to keep players, grounded in what they're spending. This isn't just lip service, it's baked right into the platform requirements.
If the rules are that strict, why aren't more operators lobbying against them? Are these regulations really protecting players, or are they kind of inadvertently protecting the market share for the giants who are already there?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? The regulatory cost itself acts as a massive filter. We know the competitive landscape hosts over 20 officially licensed operators.
It's not a monopoly.
Not at all. But those 20 are now operating in a highly protected ecosystem. It signals a moderately concentrated market where strong branding and a quality product, backed by very deep pockets, are absolutely essential to stand out.
That brings us to the core issue. We have to shift focus from the gold standard regulation to the operational cost, because this is where the cost-benefit analysis gets really complex. We rate this market as good, but high entry barrier.
And that barrier is explicitly financial. It defines the risk. This is the part that immediately blocks, I don't know, 90% of the global iGaming startups or mid-sized operators who are looking to expand into Latin America.
Let's talk numbers. What is the key restriction that makes Colombia such a gatekeeper?
It's the sheer capital barrier. The single largest restriction is the minimum capital deposit of 500,000 US dollars.
500,000.
And that isn't just a fee, it's capital that has to be deposited and locked up to maintain the license. You can't touch it.
Wow.
Then you add to that a non-refundable application fee of 30,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
So you're essentially dropping over $500,000 before you've even spun up your first ad campaign.
And that's just the entry ticket. Once you're in, you can't just run a lean, remote, low-cost digital operation, can you? You actually have to build physical infrastructure.
That's exactly right. The licensing process mandates a physical office within Colombia. And this isn't just about having a nameplate on a door in Bogota.
Right.
You have to employ local staff, including dedicated compliance officers, and you need to partner with local banks for all your payment processing. This adds significant non-negotiable fixed costs to your monthly overhead.
Regardless of performance.
Regardless, we've seen operators dedicate enormous time and capital just navigating local employment law and dealing with specialized colegos auditors on the ground.
Okay, so you have high fixed costs, and then the government immediately starts taking a huge slice of whatever revenue you manage to generate. This is what we call the taxation double whammy. Walk us through that.
This is where margins get squeezed to the breaking point. So first, operators pay a 20% gross gaming revenue tax, a GGR tax.
And for anyone who doesn't know, GGR is the top line, right? It's what you make after paying out winnings, but before accounting for any operational expenses.
Correct. Before marketing, before salaries, before rent for that mandatory local office.
So 20% right off the top.
Right off the top. But then on whatever's left, your operational profits operators are subject to the standard 33% corporate income tax.
Oof.
Yeah. When you combine that 20% GGR tax with the 33% corporate tax on the back end, the effective tax rate is just incredibly high. In business like iGaming, that combination just crushes the margins.
This sounds like a high-stakes environment where Cojuegos is definitely not messing around with non-compliant entities. What's the risk if you try to skirt the rules?
They are notoriously aggressive in their enforcement. Cojuegos actively monitors the digital space and orders aggressive ISP blocking against unlicensed domains almost immediately.
So offshore operation is basically a non-starter.
It's increasingly unviable and very risky. Players just won't be able to access your site for long.
And the risk isn't just financial, it's personal. We're talking about serious legal exposure for executives.
Yes, criminal prosecution and permanent blacklisting are a real threat. And this is vital. Colombia maintains active extradition treaties with powerful nations, including the U.S. and Spain.
Wait, that significantly changes the risk profile?
It does. We're not just talking about losing a license. We're talking about genuine personal legal exposure for executives who thought they could manage this from Gibraltar or Malta. If you choose Colombia, you have to choose full compliance.
Absolutely. So if the entry cost and the tax burden are that severe, the size of the prize, the consumer market, it must be enormous to justify it. Let's turn back to the consumer side for a moment. Who are these operators fighting over?
Well, the demographics are certainly promising. The population is young, median age of 31, and highly digital. It's the perfect target for iGaming.
And what are they playing?
The most popular activities are sports betting, which sees about 34% participation, and online casino games at 28%. And these are primarily accessed via mobile, capitalizing on that 85% mobile penetration we mentioned earlier.
And what's the engagement pattern like?
Players prefer short sessions. We're talking an average of 20 to 30 minutes, mostly during peak evening hours. They are engaged, but they're not necessarily heavy rollers.
This brings us to the massive catch, the one that makes that high fixed cost so dangerous. So you spend $500,000 just to get in the door, and the prize is rather small on a per-customer basis. Tell us about the average revenue per user.
This is the core economic challenge that defines the volume trap. The average revenue per user, or ARPU, is estimated at only $100 US annually.
So that's roughly $8 per customer per month.
Correct. That figure is profoundly low compared to established international markets.
Give me some context.
Sure. In a mature market like the UK or New Jersey, ARPU often sits between $40 and $60 per month. In Colombia, it's $8. This means you need a massive number of customers just to generate the revenue one customer would in a Western market.
So you have these huge fixed costs, local office, staff, the 530,000 up front, plus a 20% GGR tax. But each customer only generates $8 in revenue a month. How does that translate into the required operational scale?
It creates a fierce volume trap. Profitability only works at massive industrial scale. Our assessment is that the time to break even, given the overhead and tax burden, is estimated at a long 24 to 36 months.
2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years. To cover those costs, operators have to quickly acquire upwards of 50,000 active players. If you cannot hit that scale fast, the overhead will just make the operation financially unsustainable. You'll burn through your expansion capital.
Despite those brutal economics for operators, the actual player experience seems stellar, right? Our player access score is excellent, coming in at 9.2 out of 10. Why is the experience so seamless for them?
It really comes down to technological investment and smart payment integration. Internet penetration is strong. The infrastructure is rapidly improving. They've been rolling out 5G in major urban centers since 2024.
Which is crucial for live casino games, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. It's crucial for delivering those high-capacity, low-latency games that casino players demand without frustrating disconnects.
And the money moving in and out, that's often a huge headache in emerging markets.
Not here. The banking system is robust, it's digitized, and most importantly, the market successfully integrates diverse, locally popular payment options.
What?
We're talking about local e-wallets like Niki and DaviPlata.
Which are essential for the unbanked or underbanked population.
Exactly. That, alongside standard credit and debit cards and bank transfers, that ease of deposit and withdrawal is vital for player retention and trust, and it's what drives that high player access score.
So wrapping up our analysis, Colombia is the undisputed regulatory gold standard in Latin America. It's celebrated for its clear, full-suite legal framework, transparent licensing, and robust player protections. It offers stability.
But stability comes at a serious price. Our final verdict from the research team is that it is a volume trap. The high barrier to entry, that $500,000 capital requirement, the mandatory local presence, the double whammy tax, combined with the very low ARPU of $100 a year.
It just means this market is unviable for mid-sized operators or startups, period.
It is a market strictly reserved for large, well-capitalized international firms. We're talking about those with $5 million or more in readily available expansion capital.
The ones who are willing to play the long, volume-heavy game and wait 2 to 3 years just to break even, it's a very exclusive club.
Which leaves you with this final thought to consider. If regulatory stability and consumer protection are achieved at the cost of such incredibly high financial barriers, does this pioneering market model unintentionally discourage diverse competition?
Is Coljuegos, in its pursuit of quality, effectively locking out local innovation and competition by making entry prohibitive for almost everyone else?
Something to think about.
Something to mull over as you process these numbers. For the full text of this and other country reports, visit our website at gamblingdatabases.com.